YouTube Nation, Maven TV, aka BTV, aka lies, deceit, and disappointment. And first, yes, I'm talking about you flyers, but before we get started on that, I want to talk about the disappointment part of this video, which is one Leandro Klitschko. That's right. Now, for anyone who saw his fight on Saturday, that's right, his heavyweight fight to retain his title, or whatever you want to call it, against this guy, clearly he can beat. This is what the fight pretty much consisted of. And that's all you saw from the fight. Now understand, as much as I respect Klitschko's punching power, I don't respect his boxing technique, his prowess, or his chin. I'm shocked that nobody has tested his chin yet. Yeah, I'm still shocked on that one. But I will say this, the reason why you saw all that holding and clinching is for a reason, all right? And it made for a very boring fight. And I understand why people are upset. I will explain, okay? What happened when this guy came into this ring, who was clearly a pushover opponent for Klitschko, all right? Guy's out of shape, he can't move, he has pretty much one punch, and he doesn't know how to evade the jab or the straight. He doesn't, okay? He's just coming straight at you. He's not moving around to the sides. No, Klitschko is pretty much picking this guy apart. He should have picked this guy apart. Klitschko should have been a surgeon in this fight. But what did Klitschko do? He decided to, on the offensive side, he jab, straight, clinch. Jab, straight, clinch. Then when the guy, because as we all know, Klitschko he has the reach, he has the height, this guy has to step in. So as soon as this guy steps in to try to do any damage, Klitschko, as you saw with the picture, goes into the hole. Now let me explain that, okay? That hole puts your weight on an opponent, all right? For X amount of rounds, you are doing that over and over, which means that guy's legs are going to get weak. And then after every break, all right, when the ref would break up the clinch, Klitschko would push the guy off with his forearm, okay? And the guy would fall down. You want to know why? Because his legs are so weak at this point, it doesn't matter what you hit him with, he's going to fall. And it got to a point, and I say this pun intended, where the ref had to pull Klitschko to the side and take a point away from him. I don't understand what Klitschko was thinking. Seriously, this should have been a run-through, a railroading fight for Klitschko with his power, the way he was dancing around the ring. It's almost like he didn't want to get hit. All right, now look, we all know the entire point of boxing is to not get hit. But we also know you're going to have to get hit in boxing, all right? Especially sometimes you have to take a punch to give a punch, okay? But Klitschko, what he was doing was actually pretty pathetic. Now, heavyweight boxing, as we know, is pretty much obsolete as it is. There's not that many opponents out there who can really give Klitschko a good run. So at this point, Klitschko should be showing his dominance. This is the problem I have with him, all right? Because there's no reason why you need to be running away from an opponent, and then when he tries to come in, you hold him. Now, we know in heavyweight boxing, they always clinch. But we also know in heavyweight boxing, this goes after a certain amount of time, after they've been trading punches and they're tired. No, Klitschko went in. Straight jab, clinch. On defense, oh, he's coming in, clinch. This is all it was. Now, writers are saying that he was in a grind. That's not a grind, all right? That is not a grinding out fight. A grinding out fight, do I need to remind people, and I will say this, I know this comparison is going to be very unfair, okay? Frazier Ali won. When Frazier won that fight, okay? Understand, that's a grind. You've got a boxer versus a brawler. When Frazier is coming in the entire time, and Ali's hitting him with straights, rights, tries to rope a dope and all this stuff, he is grinding it out because he's not changing his game plan. So he's coming in, he's taking a number of punches, but he's still giving them as well. That's the grind. People don't understand, it seems these days, what a grind really means in boxing. So as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of bad to see writers try to take this, you know, this aspect and try to big up Klitschko. Like I said, it's pathetic to see a guy his size, his height, with his power fight that way. That is annoying as all hell, especially with the guy understanding he was with a legit contender, all right? But no, we're talking about a guy who had no shot in hell at beating Klitschko and him fighting like that. Even the crowd started booing after a while. It was disappointing. And I'll tell you another thing that was disappointing, all right? Cotto, all right? The Cotto fight that happened. Now, Cotto didn't disappoint. His opponent disappointed. Because when he fought his opponent, look, first off, tail of the tape, they told you in the beginning, all right, that this guy has only fought for world titles. He's never won one. He's only fought a couple times for a world title, never won. And his biggest claim to fame is fighting on Friday night fights. So yeah, Cotto's going to walk through this guy, as far as I'm concerned. In the media, HBO, they're trying to hype it up as, well, if this guy beats Cotto, you know, Cotto might as well just, you know, call it quits and retire because he lost his last 2 fights. And first off, I don't care if you lose your last 2 fights or not. That doesn't mean you're done. I don't care at what age, okay? It doesn't mean you can't bounce back. As a fighter, in a fighter spirit, you never quit that way and say, oh, I've lost my X amount of fights in a row. I'm just going to quit because the media says so. You gotta be kidding me. No. Cotto went in there, and I don't know what this guy was thinking, because he tried to sit and trade with Cotto, knowing that Cotto, for his size, is a bigger fighter. He's a power puncher. We have seen this. This guy is not a power puncher. He's a boxer, all right? So you keep your distance. But he didn't do that. No, he decided to trade with Cotto and got knocked out early in the fight, very early in the fight. And this is what really bothered me at first, too, because when he got knocked down, the ref stopped the fight automatically, which made no sense to me. The guy got up. I'm thinking to myself, give this guy one more chance to see if he can actually, recover from that knockdown. Nope. Ref didn't even give it a chance. He's like, nope, I've seen enough. That's it. It's done. Well, you gotta be kidding me. This is sad. And if this is what boxing is coming to, and you know what? I don't know whether to be mad at what we've seen as of late with boxing when it comes to judging certain fights. Yeah, we've seen that as of late. We saw it with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. not too long ago, when he clearly got outworked by that guy, and because he was the bigger name and he was a power puncher, they gave him, the win, which made no sense because he was lazy, he was out of shape compared to the other guy. Like I said, he got outboxed. The other guy should have won. It's sad. Even HBO themselves said it was a screw job. So it goes to show you that when even HBO admits this, there's a problem, because we all know how HBO is, okay? So it goes to show you, I don't know, I should be mad at the judging or these microwave fights that easily could go on for a bit that refs are stopping too early. So it's kind of like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't if you watch boxing. And this is what's hurting them, on top of doing pay-per-view stuff, due to the fact that UFC is killing the game right now. And I want to talk about MMA real quick before I get to the Flyers. Understand, people, that we cannot have mixed martial artists dying because they're trying to cut weight in dehydration. And I'll put the link in the info bar for it. We cannot have this. Okay? If you can't make weight, it's time for you to go up in weight. You should know as a fighter that even after you fight, you can take a little bit of time off, you know what I mean, to do what you want to do and party or eat what you want, because, you're such in, rigorous training that you can't do that. But after a fight, you can do that for a little bit, but that's it. You don't do it for months and months at a time and then say, wait a minute, I got a fight coming up. Let me get back in training. Wait a minute, I'm still not ready to I can't make weight yet. I got to cut weight that day or whatever before the weigh-in. We know, we've seen this time and time again as fighters. For people who don't know, okay, when you don't make weight, there's times you can have your title stripped from you. There's times where you can have money taken away from you because you didn't make weight. If you can't make weight the day before a fight, you know what that tells me? It tells me that you have problems with discipline. It tells me that you're not taking your job seriously. This guy died for that. That's sad. And the fight was canceled. That's very sad. It is. And speaking of cancel, I think there's some people that need to be canceled off of the Flyers, all right? Because for those who don't know, the Flyers not too long ago, they fired Coach Love, all right? I have a problem with that, because you have to be kidding me that you're going to fire a coach 3 games into the season. The person who should be fired is the one, Paul Holmgren, is still out there talking and trying to talk Craig Berube up. Let's get into this right now, because there's a lot of hypocrisy going on within the organization and the stupid fans who believe them. Let's get in this right now, man.
The decision. I made the decision last night on the plane when I came back from Carolina. I think Pierre worked his hardest to try to get things turned around. He's as frustrated as all of us right now. When I met with him this morning, he expressed his frustration about trying everything. He gave it all he could.
So let me get this straight. You made this decision, Paul Holmgren, to fire Coach Laviolette, who only been here for 3 seasons so far. 3 seasons. You made this decision to fire him, all right? The man, mind you, the man who has lied to players and their agents about how they're not going to be traded. Yeah, Paul Holmgren. The man who decided to go out and get Ilya Brizgalov, who only gave you, I have to remind fans this, who only gave you 1 good month of his entire tenure here. That's right, and that was in March. I didn't even say a good month, a consistent month. That's what I should be saying. You decided to do that, Paul Holmgren. That's right. And then you decided to keep shuffling, and I say this because you're shuffling the roster constantly, time and time again, to see what would work. Because you don't know what the hell you're doing, Paul Holmgren, but yet you made this decision to fire the coach that, when he came in the 09-10 hockey season, all right, to replace John Stevens, all right, he took you to a Stanley Cup in the first damn season he got here. All right, now let's get something straight. You talk about the memorable battles with the Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup. We all know how that was, okay? How about the comeback to the Boston Bruins? Y'all don't remember that? How about the memorable, fight against the Rangers just to get into the playoffs, all right? Not to mention the constant injuries that we had, especially to Chris Pronger and all these other people, and Lappy and all these other people, and yet we still prevailed to go further. But you're going to tell me, and fans are saying this too because they're eating up this garbage from the organization, saying that, well, because of what happened last year, and now how we're taking off this year, this is why we fired him. So we're supposed to forget everything else that's happened because of what happened last year? Are you touched in the head? Is there something wrong with you? And I say this to fans and the organization. You're actually eating this up as a justification? You gotta be kidding me. But you know what? Let's keep going and show you more stupidity from this organization as they try to introduce and try to sell you on Craig Berube.
Craig is one of the smartest hockey guys I've ever been around. He's learned the coaching business over the last 9 years. He's been a head coach with the Phantoms. He demands respect. He holds people accountable. He's a no BS kind of guy.
So he's the smartest guy that you know, huh, Paul Holmgren? So how about this? He's been in the league for 9 years coaching. What is taking so long to get him to a head coaching star? Why hasn't he been here before? If he's so smart, why hasn't any other teams come and picked him up? So he coached the Phantoms, an AHL team. He only coached it for 2 years, okay? And I'm gonna get into this because we're gonna get some stats right now. See, this is where I don't buy into any of this, all right? So let's get into this, all right? He came to the Phantoms in the 06-07 season, Craig Berube. That's when he started coaching, okay? Now, he was 31-41 in his first season, okay? Didn't make the playoffs, all right? They were 7th in the East. The next year, they were 46-27, all right? So they were 2nd in the East. Now, in 06-07, didn't make the playoffs at all, okay? In 07-08, they won the first round, 4-3, okay? And in the second round, they lost 1-4. Now, understand, if this guy is supposed to be so smart, all right, then you're going to sit here and tell me that that's okay? As far as I'm concerned, what we see of Craig Berube's body of work as opposed to Coach Laviolette, who is taking you to a Stanley Cup 1 out of 3 seasons and won a Stanley Cup in 06. Are you going to sit here and tell me that you're going to take that gamble? No, it's a justification. And also understand that every season is a new season with new players, new personnel, new scheme. Understand it takes a while to adjust. It takes a while to mesh. Don't sit here and tell me that we're still worried about last season what happened. No, that's not how it works. How many commercials do you see the Flyers? New Flyer season, new players, new attitude. They try to sell you on this time and time again. And if you don't buy into it, then apparently you're not a real Flyers fan. But as soon as they don't believe it themselves and they pull the trigger too early, then you're supposed to all of a sudden forget all of that, right? Okay, well, let's talk about training camp and let's hear what Ed Snyder has to say about it.
The decision to fire Peter Laviolette was made in part because the front office felt the team had taken 2 steps back during the preseason.
I thought our training camp, quite frankly, was one of the worst training camps I've ever seen. And I'm not talking about wins or losses. There was nothing exciting. Nobody shined. Nobody looked good. I couldn't point to one thing that I thought was a positive coming out of training camp. And I personally was worried.
So you were worried about training camp, and you saw that no one stood out. You ever think that's a personnel issue? Like I said, if you look at the draft, if you look at all the acquisitions you made, that's not just a coaching problem. That's a GM problem. And it seems like you still want to blame the coach and not look at the GM. Yet, why do you think nobody wants to come here and coach? 3 seasons. 3. And you're ready to bounce a guy already who has that much of a tenure and has done a lot for the community. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You really should. But that's not all. For those who think that this is just something that's going to go away and that if you get Coach Lob, that all of a sudden we're going to change the scheme and that it's going to reignite the actual team, nah, Ed Snyder has some words for you.
Still, the decision to hire Berube immediately came into question.
30 teams are trying to win the cup, and we're doing our damnedest to do it. That's our culture.
And
That's our culture.
A fresh perspective.
No, we don't need a fresh perspective. We have a pretty good culture, and we know who we're dealing with.
So, no new fresh perspective. So what was the point of getting rid of Coach Lob for Berube if it's going to be the same thing? And then you say that's the culture. Well, if that's the culture, You know, because you should know by now, if anybody with half a brain should know, there's no quick fixes. This organization has problems. They want to win so bad that they don't have any patience. And this is going to become a problem in the future. And Ed Snyder said it himself. You have the right to be upset, fans. He is saying this to you, but they don't care. They're going to do what they want because they're desperate to win a cup. I've never seen an organization so desperate and shoot themselves in the foot in the same time.
What do you want the fans to know?
I want the fans to know that we don't like firing somebody after 3 games. I don't like it. I think we deserve criticism. But I want them to know that we're going to do whatever we have to do despite the criticism from the press. We're going to do everything we can possibly do to win, even though we know we're going to take it on the chin sometimes.
Criticism from the press? Who cares about the press? You should be worried about the fan base, because it's the fan base who pays for your merchandise. It's the fan base who comes to the games to see these guys play. Without the fan base, you don't have any revenue. And if you don't believe me, people, you can ask Ed Snyder why he got rid of the Sixers, because people weren't going to the damn games. So he got rid of that organization like a sinking ship. Don't sit here and tell me this. But I'll put it like this, Ed Snyder. If you think that the press is the most important, you're sad, all right? The PR has to stop. If you want some good advice, Ed Snyder, I will put it like this. Get rid of your yes men. And I also say it to the fans as well, because if you're sold on Craig Berube before all this, that's fine. I don't have a problem with you with that, all right? But if all these things that I'm showing you today, you've been watching, if it's influenced you to think that this is a good move, then you're an idiot. It's that simple. You become a yes man, just like Ed Snyder has surrounded, which he's pretty much surrounded by.
I give Paul a lot of credit because he wanted to make sure that he gave Peter every chance, because Peter's an outstanding coach. He'll be coaching somewhere else at some point, and a good family man, great in the community, and I applaud Paul for really making sure it was the proper time to make that move.
Are you serious? Now, people understand that is the COO of Comcast Spectacor, who obviously doesn't know what the hell he's talking about when it comes to hockey. To say that that was a good move by Paul Holmgren, no. I would have told you what was a good move if you'd have did it in the offseason and then bring in Craig Berube. Why? Because then he can mold the team how he wants to with his new players. He can make up his new schemes, because we don't know if he's going to keep it simple or not. We don't know his game plan yet because we haven't seen it. But understand, if you're going to do this 3 games into the season, okay, when you pretty much put all your confidence in the coach Lava to say he gave him every chance he possibly could, no, he didn't. Everyone knows the trigger was pulled too early, so don't give me this crap. If it was, like I said before, if this was something that Coach Lava said, I've done everything I could, I'm done, it'd be a different story. But we know Coach Lava would have never done that because he doesn't give up on the fight. That's what it is. That's that spirit. That's what you need on that team. Now, you're bringing in Craig Berube, and we don't know how the hell he's going to act. So what if he coached 2 years with the Phantoms? That's it. That's all he has. But don't sit here and tell me this is going to shake up the team, and all of a sudden, we're going to go on this incredible run, and we're going to go to the Stanley Cup. Flyers fans, stop lying to yourselves. Clearly, the organization has no idea what they are doing. They are confused as much as most of these fans are. Don't expect much this year. But yet, me saying that will make me the bad guy. And speaking of low expectations, I do want to move on to the Philadelphia Eagles. Because, yes, they won against the Giants. Okay, we won. Okay, Giants fans, please stop talking. You can stop talking now. Because all week you've been talking about, ha, ha, ha. Like I said in the last video, ha, ha, ha. You got beat by Denver. You were 0-5 now. 0-5. And the thing is, in the first half, you actually did a pretty good job. Because what did I say last week? The Eagles, they can't cover. And what happened? The Giants was throwing downfield like it was nothing to it. All types of bombs and killing our coverage in the first half. All right? And then Vic, what did I say? Vic's going to have to run a lot. Did I say that? Because the players aren't getting open. And Vic was running a lot. Was he not? Okay. Second half adjustments. Vic gets hurt. And you know what? I'm starting to feel a little bit bad for Michael Vick. Not because of his, of his quarterbacking, but the fact that this guy can't stay healthy. And that's going to weigh on him, because he said this year he was going to try to prove a lot of people wrong. Everyone calling him Mr. Glass because he's always injured. And now he's injured again. And I put it like this. If the receivers would get open, he wouldn't have to run as much. This wouldn't have happened. But yet, not going to look at that. Now we have Nick Foles coming in. Now look, I've said before, Nick Foles, get a kid a chance. But what he did, was it last week on Sunday, was what a backup is supposed to do. That's what he's supposed to do. It wasn't extraordinary. It wasn't great. No, he did what he was supposed to do. He went down and scored a couple times, and he maintained the game. That's what he did. And a lot of people were sitting here saying, oh, Foles is my boy now, and we don't care about Vic. These are the same people who were cheering Vic the way he played in week 1, though, right? Okay, then. I don't want to hear it. Nick Foles deserves a chance. I said this last season that Nick Foles deserved a chance, but not with that offensive line. Did I not say that? Okay, this is going to be no different. If he starts in Tampa Bay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But if you're going to give Nick Foles credit for everything that he did last week, you better start looking at their defense. Because in the fourth quarter, they have 3 takeaways. 3, which got Nick Foles into those positions. Don't sit here and tell me this was all Nick Foles. It wasn't. And for those, I said this before, go back and look at the Chargers video if you need to. Nick Foles, once again, throws that fade route, throws it up to wide receiver 10 to catch. Now, this time it worked, but if you look at it, wide receiver 10 is in the middle of a double move. Nick Foles throws the ball too early, and wide receiver 10 has to adjust because he threw it too early. He didn't get a chance to finish the double move. All right? So understand that this is still a problem. Why you're still throwing to him when he's a small guy going over the top makes no sense to me. It makes none. It worked this time, but don't think it's going to work all the time. It really is a risky play to throw. I don't understand. Whoever is calling that play needs to stop. Okay? But we won, and you shouldn't be happy, Eagles fans. Don't be happy. All right? Yeah, we have all these other teams coming up. We got Tampa Bay. We should work on Tampa Bay. But understand this Eagles team will still underachieve this year. Because like I said, from once y'all start screaming Super Bowl, you can't go any further than that. So, like I said, I'm sticking with my prediction, 8-8. There is no quarterback controversy. When Michael Vick gets back, he will be the starting quarterback. This is why Nick Foles didn't win the starting job in the beginning. I'm not trying to hear about he didn't have enough reps. Chip Kelly confirmed he did have enough reps during this, during the offseason. So I don't want to hear it. Okay? He didn't win the job. There's a reason why Michael Vick is still your starting quarterback. These receivers need to get it together. Granted, we have a lot of injuries. Riley Cooper is a 4th-string wide receiver. We know this, okay? But the Eagles need to make some moves. If this is about getting better and winning, then the Eagles need to make some moves at wide receiver. Wide receiver 10 cannot be the only guy that you are aiming at. Jason Avant is not a 2nd-string wide receiver. He's not. We know this. He needs some help. You cannot make him the focal point of everything. If that's the case, they're going to jam him. They're going to double him. They're going to do everything they can to keep him off the ball. And then what? What do you do then? Because when we saw Nick Foles start, as you know, treat him with kid gloves just like Andy Reid did. I'm just going to throw horizontal. I'm going to throw it to the side, throw it to the side. Wasn't throwing downfield first. Wasn't. Throw little 5-yard pass or whatever, dump off, and then let the running back do the rest. That's horrible. If this guy is, if you really believe that Nick Foles is going to be the franchise quarterback, then you put him in the fire and you let him throw downfield. And I'm not trying to hear it's going to take a couple plays to warm up. I'm not trying to hear that. He should be ready, just like as we saw. He's ready. He's ready to play. So, like I said, if he starts Tampa Bay, you get behind Foles, all right? You stand behind him as your quarterback. If Vic comes back, then you stand behind Vic as your quarterback. Either way, you stand behind whoever's there who's best suited for the job. The reason Vic is there is because he can run. Because when these guys can't get open, Foles is not doing the things that Vic can do, mobile-wise. We know that. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure that out. But Foles does have a strong arm. He does have a chance. So it really comes down to Tampa Bay. We know how bad Tampa Bay is, but it doesn't mean that their defense can't pick us off. It does not mean that. So they really have to. The Eagles really have to bring the thunder. They really have to. I'm just going to sit back and watch. I'm not predicting anything. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know why people are getting happy. If you think that we're tied for the division, we're 2-3, we're tied for the division. We can still get in the playoffs with a losing record. Who wants to be in the playoffs with a losing record? Who? Stupid Eagles fans, that's who. Seriously, stop wasting my time with this garbage. Eagles fans, understand you should just go for the ride. Like I said, rebuilding season. Chip Kelly has a lot to work on. A lot. Because he really does look like Andy Reid out there right now. But yet, people think that's okay. I guess this actually is pretty good for, Andy Reid fans because if they're, I'm sure they've all moved on to KC now since they're 5-0. But, if not, then they're still here at Chip Kelly like, yeah, we like his style of offense because it's pass, 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 pass. You gotta be kidding me. We run the ball a bit, but I don't understand why you're still running McCoy on the weak side and in the red zone instead of the strong side. You know by now that the strong side is the left side because Vic is a left-handed quarterback. I said this time and time again. That's his strong side. That's where you run. You don't run him to the weak side. That's just stupid. and then hope that he gets in. I understand why you do it, because you don't think that teams are going to think that you're going to run that way because that's your strong side. You're trying to fool them. But no. You power it through. Center or weak side. Strong side. That's how you do it. That's how football's always been done. If you want to really get crazy, when's the last time we've seen a running back jump over the line for over the goal line? Haven't seen that in a long time, have we? When it comes to Eagles football. No, haven't. Just saying. These type of things need to be worked on. I don't see enough screen passes either. When the Eagles are in trouble, you should be thinking about that. Just a little bit. A little bit more play action. Not just straight up. And I'll tell you one thing. If Nick Foles is going to play next week, then at least, hopefully, he is studying film right now. As I am talking, he is studying film on blitzes. Because Mike Vick still hasn't read a blitz to save his damn life. He doesn't read those things. He'll just hike the ball and say, oh my God, it's a blitz, let me run. Or let me throw it away. Doesn't read it at all. That's one thing I'll say Michael Vick's game he really needs to work on. It's not the running. Yes, he needs some help out there when it comes to receivers, but if they shut down wide receiver 10, that's pretty much ball game. Mike Vick didn't complete a pass last week against the Giants until the second quarter. The entire first quarter, no, nothing. That should tell you something, Eagles fans. Like I said, Foles plays, I'm for it. If you don't, I'm for it as well. Enjoy the games. Stop fighting all the damn time over nothing. There's no controversy. Guy has one good game all of a sudden. Here we go again. Every year it's been that way, has it not? Every year. This is the media at work. I'm done, man. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all getting video game videos this week before I go to New York. I'll talk to y'all then, man.